7. What comes after 7? It's 6. 5, 4, 3, maybe 2, 1. Anyone? People of the world, hello and welcome to Marketing as a Foreign Language. As you can probably tell, we've got a whole new setup. The audio is better, the video is better, everything's hashtag better. Please do leave comments. We want to see them. Our guest today, Miruna Dragomir, is coming to us from Romania. Did you know that at 10 years of age, poof, her cousins, I want to say, showed up talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. English is not her first language, and yet she speaks it better than I do. She has worked for Oracle, and she has worked for Uber. How cool is that? She is not your average duck. She is far more talented, far more impressive. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Miruna.
Such a great clap. Thank you.
I'm just saying, it's best clap, greatest clap. Okay, so talking to you backstage, we could say. Impressed thus far with all that you've done. You know how the show goes, so we're going to go all the way back. But before we go to where your whole life started, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now, and then we'll fall back.
So right now I am all in the marketing tech world. I work for a startup in B2B software, MarTech actually, and I'm the head of marketing here. And I pretty much do whatever marketing in a startup, which means everything and anything: content, SEO, a bit of HTML, whatever is needed.
Yeah. So I'm not going to expose your age. That's up to you. If you want to, talk about how old you are. But you are young to be the head of marketing. So we're gonna unpack why that might be. So going all the way back, where were you born?
In Romania.
Mm-hmm. What city?
It's Bacău. It's a city in the I want to say eastern part of Romania.
Okay, you said Bacău?
Bacău, yeah, that's cool.
Okay, I don't know. All right, so you're in Bacău, and both your parents are in the house, and life is typical stuff. How was your childhood?
Yes, very standard, boring childhood with 2 amazing parents, a brother, and yeah, we just had a pretty normal, dull life.
What? I don't believe that. I don't believe it.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you're in Romania, and you're like 6 years old. When does school start? Like 5, 6, just normal sort of stuff?
Yeah, 7. Besides kindergarten, the normal school starts at 7 years old.
Okay, and you're just straight A's, killing it the whole time in school?
I was a pretty, very goody two-shoes. I was very, I didn't need or want any help with homework. I was on my own 2 feet. I wanted to learn and study, and I remember I didn't really have a filter, because you hear these things when you're a child that you're either very creative or you're very analytical or you're very this or that,
Mm-hmm.
It's always black or white. And I didn't really relate much to any of the two. I kind of really liked math, which I would have never said out loud back then. Of course, right. That was embarrassing.
Right.
And I also, did a bit of poetry when I was a child. And I liked painting, even though I did a very terrible job there, but I enjoyed it. Right. And so I kind of loved both worlds, and I didn't really know what to choose in life. And there was all this pressure. What will you be? What will you be? It's going to be a lawyer, a doctor, and then marketing.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I was a teacher before I got into marketing, so that was my particular path. And so, okay, so would you say that marketing in 2021 is a mix of creative and like data science? Those 2 things combined?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's been starting to become this mix for the past years, I'd say. And the more it's about the online and the internet and all that, and the more it's because of the technology, everything is kind of trackable, except for a lot of the offline, if we're honest. And so it depends on the industry, but most industries are starting to, need a lot both sides and the focus on both sides.
Mm-hmm. So we go all the way back, and you are, let's say, junior high. Is there junior high in Romania? 7th, 8th grade? Is it different?
Yes. No, it's similar.
No, okay. And at this point, you have been exposed to the English language, yes?
Yes, quite a lot.
Okay, and we talked about this. How much American TV did you watch?
All of it. Yeah, I was mentioning before that there's this particular thing about Romania and from the European countries that back in, and not now even, but they didn't do the voices over the original versions. So you would hear the original version of all of the TV, even the cartoons for children. And so you wouldn't really understand at a young age what they would say, but naturally you'd kind of really pick up on it. And I think, that's a big part of why a lot of Romanians know pretty good English, actually.
Yeah, so if I were to sit down and watch a Chinese cartoon, which I have done, I basically learn nothing and am just frustrated for a long period of time. So how much of your English, so your parents, do they speak any English?
Some, a bit.
But they're not sitting
Not
down
a
with you
lot,
and
no.
teaching you English?
No.
Okay, and so your cousins show up when you're 10 years old and they speak fluent English because they're living in America? What's the plan there? What happened?
Yeah. My one of my cousins moved in the US when he was 2, so basically, kind of English is his, you could call it, first language. And he knew a bit of Romanian, but because he was, it wasn't that easy for him to speak in Romanian with us, especially when it was just us children and we just want to play and we just want to, talk fast and not really work on our languages. It would be easier for him to talk in English. And then me and my brother were kind of very passionate about learning English for some reason. I really wouldn't know to tell you why, but I don't know, it was this thing, this coolness factor about speaking in English. And so when they came to Romania, we would speak mostly in English. And I remember, their parents were really insistent on us speaking in Romanian because they would, freshen up on their Romanian, but there was no bargaining with us. We were all English. So
yeah, because your English is exceptional. So I was a English as a second language teacher for many years. And so I know all the levels, from like, hi, how are you, to, fluent conversation on a live show, right? So it is fascinating to hear you speak English. I think that this 10-year-old, 7-year-old, 5-year-old Miruna is looking at the TV and going, you know what? I'm a smart cookie. I understand that there's something going on here, right? That there's value to this. There's a coolness factor to this. I really want to explore this and push it forward. And how interesting that your professional career then has morphed, because I'm sure, obviously there are people in Romania who don't work in English. So how many folks in Romania would you say use English to make money, and how many don't?
Well, I think, it depends a lot on the level. So for me personally, at least since I've joined Planable, it's all English. It's been all English because, working in a corporation like Oracle, you work with people from the US all the time. Same goes with Uber. But you would still have, I don't know, at Uber, you would still have some messages for the local market. Mm-hmm. But then at Planable, it's just, since our main market is the US and the global market, there's basically no Romanian. So, but I think depending on the level, most people in Romania have some, at least people that, have the 9-to-5 jobs, have some relation to English. They have to work with some people from other countries, and that means that they have to know the basis of, conversation. but work like full-time in English, I'd say, I don't know, it's hard to give a percentage. There's a very big population, but not that many, I'd say.
Yeah, see that would have been my guess. And so that I'm trying to separate you and show your exceptionality, if you will, because language is an indicator of intelligence for sure. Second language is a big deal, and so if I think for your average American, and obviously it's not as if America dominates the English language culture, England, India, Australia. I mean, it's a global language, obviously. But that being said, because I'm an American, I think for 99.9% of Americans, well, that's not true. That would be excluding the Latino community. I just think that for the vast majority of Americans to conceptualize working from home using a language, another language, is just sort of just completely alien and foreign. And so I think that is a big difference between, say, Romanian culture and American culture. And it kind of drives me nuts because I really wish that more folks would really push Spanish forward, as our neighbors speak Spanish. So that kind of makes me it's like a pet peeve of mine. I'm like, why don't you speak Spanish, people? What are you doing? It's one of my favorite things to do. So anyway, you're killing it. You learn English. Fantastic. You were smart enough to see that it had just tons of value. And then we get into high school. How was high school for you?
After, I think it was the classical, I had the classical period of, rebelling and just wanting nothing to do with the future or world. That I think took about 6 months. It was a pretty short period. And then
let me ask you a question. Did your hair color change in that time?
No, because fun fact, I'm allergic to hair dye.
Okay.
So
okay.
No.
But it would have if you weren't allergic. Maybe it would have been like a purple
probably.
or a, right?
Yeah, I did some experiments. That's how I found out I was allergic. So yeah, so I think, that was how it started. And then I think it's after that, I became very focused on school, and I started to kind of practice these two things that I liked. And in high school in Romania, in some classes, you learn a bit of, I'd say, coding, but I'm afraid I don't know how to code today, but you do get some of those lessons. So I enjoyed that quite a lot. And I chose to, in Romania, the educational system, after high school, you have to take this exam, sort of like the SAT, but it has nothing to do with like general culture. It's math, like literature, and then this one optional topic. And I chose this, let's say coding topic.
Okay.
And then I had to kind of pick the topic for the university.
Okay, so let's stop right there. So
Yes.
there's this coding sort of. So now you're starting to maybe touch on the tech a little bit. Your fingers are kind of getting into that world. We do have a question from chat. Esther writes, "Do Romanians learn English in high school?"
Yes, we actually learn English since the 5th grade.
Okay. So in 5th grade, did you feel like, this is stupid, I'm way ahead of this, why are you trying to teach me like I am smart, when you're having full-on conversations?
Honestly, I don't remember, but I think that kind of the first few years of English were a bit basic. But then in high school, I chose this particular class that had a focus on English. So we would have like, I think 4 lessons per week of English or something like that. So it would be quite a lot.
And did your English teachers have heavy Romanian accents the entire time? Or were they really strong? And
some of them would, but this particular teacher that from my high school, she had flawless, not American accent, but English accent.
Mm. Oh, okay.
So yeah, she was one of the best. She's very well known in my city.
Oh, so she's popular. I like that. Okay. All right. So you're obviously smart. We'll get into the marketing. We'll get into that. So in college, there's some coding that you start to play with a little bit. Esther writes British. Was she British?
She wasn't British, but yeah, her accent was British.
Right then. Fantastic. Brilliant. So I do want to go into the marketing a little bit. So flash forward to today. We'll go back in time. But flash forward to today, you mentioned SEO. Do you do any pay-per-click?
No, not
That's not your. What's your forte? Like, what are you doing with Planable?
I think my forte is analytics at this point. And every other topic, I kind of touch every topic. I do a bit of content. I do a bit of SEO, though we do have an amazing person that's kind of in charge of SEO. But I'm a bit into every topic, but my main focus is analytics and conversion. I think that's kind of what I'm specializing in, the whole journey.
Right. So do you oversee everything then? Do you oversee a Google ad spend? Do you oversee a Facebook ad spend?
Yeah. So we have 4 people in the team besides me, and that's we have someone on SEO, someone on content marketing and writing, someone on performance, and someone on customer success.
Okay. And how large is Planable?
We're 20 something now. We're in between hiring new people. So it's 21, 22, something around there.
Okay. So you've worked at Uber, you've worked at Oracle. We have another question from chat. It is, what was some of the creative marketing that you did for Uber?
There was this one campaign I really loved. It was a campaign called Bad. It was adapted from a different market, but it was against drunk driving. B. What did a B stand for?
Brothers?
I doubt it was brothers. B. I don't know. It was something. B.
Someone against drunk driving. Right.
Yeah, I think Bad sounded cool, and we just found something to do with the B.
Right.
Yeah. So that campaign, it kind of had this whole. It had a party at the end. That was one thing, and then it had these. Oh, we had these. Questionnaires or surveys that we distributed among pubs and bars in Bucharest, and Bucharest is the capital of Romania, and people would have to kind of fill them out to find out if they can drive or just go home. They would have
how drunk they were. Is that the idea?
Yeah. Basically, to understand if they're sober enough to go behind the wheel.
Right.
We had these kind of coasters that had kind of a part of a map of Romania, and they would there was a contest if they gathered them all. It was this entire thing, but it was really interesting to find a way to implement all of those in the local pubs and to give people a fun but responsible way of understanding just how important this is.
Interesting. Okay. So if you are in charge mostly of analytics, your boss is just looking for maximum conversions, right? Just show me the most conversions at the smallest dollar amount, right?
Like any business.
And so how do you measure a conversion? Is Planable, is it software? What is it precisely?
Yes, Planable is a software for social media teams. So for us, conversions, it means at every step of the way. We look at every step of the way, from the website to the sign up, from the sign up to the next step, and so on and so forth until they give us their credit card. And so conversion it's really about, you can go so deep into it because you look at the website, but then you think, what traffic source brings the best conversion, or what landing page, or what button, or what this and that. And it's kind of this endless journey, in my opinion. You can never optimize conversion enough. There's always something more you could do.
Yeah, and for folks that aren't in the marketing space, it is Alice in Wonderland falling down the hole. It never ends. Because what could I do to this landing page to have it convert at a higher rate? Should I be asking them for an email instead of asking them to download this ebook, or asking them to buy now, or asking them to do a 30-minute conversation, go on a Calendly or whatever. Should I have a chat box in the lower right-hand corner? Should I be reaching out to people with the chat box, or should I let them reach out to me first? Do we want more Facebook likes? Is that the conversion? What exactly do we want? What counts? What doesn't count? So yeah, it's really easy and not complicated at all. It's kind of like learning English in Romania. It's kind of like watching a cartoon when you don't speak English at 6 years old and just going, all right, well, I will figure this out if I just keep watching it. And so, yeah, it's tricky business. But what's the most successful element for Planable? What's working the best, would you say? What's your best bang for your buck?
I think I'll have to pick two things. One thing for us is our design, and that sounds weird a bit, but we're a brand very, very much focused on design. There's nothing out there that we kind of put out without, well, maybe there is, for the people that might search and say, this is ugly. I'm sorry for that. But most of the things that we publish have to be beautiful. This is the word that's very important for us at Planable. And that's because, the culture, two of our three co-founders have a design background, and they're very design focused. So that's kind of what influenced that. And I think, honestly, what works for us is that we never stop experimenting, and we're not scared of, there's not one thing. In general, it works. SEO works for us, performance works for us, and content in general. Right. But the thing about us is that we don't get fixated into some tactics. We're not, SEO is our thing. If, I don't know, in 3 months we realize SEO is not working anymore, we're not afraid to just pull the plug on that. That's fine. I don't know. We'll move on to the next thing. And I think, that's because the team is so adaptable. We're not scared to take on a new challenge and just say, I don't know, I just know SEO. I don't want to do anything else.
Right. Flexible. Yeah. I love that. I assume you guys are blogging? And do you know what your most successful blog is?
Yes.
What is it?
It's an article about Instagram grids.
An article about Instagram. Well, Miruna, we all know about Instagram grids. Everyone listening to this show is like, oh yeah, don't talk to me about Instagram grids again. So bored. What's that?
Yeah, well, no, it's an article that shows how you can design them. I think there's like 15 different types of designing your Instagram grid, how it should look like, how you can manage it, and so on and so forth. But it wins from an SEO perspective, first of all, because, everyone's bored of the subject, but a lot of people search for it.
No, I don't. I'm not bored of it at all. I want you to explain it to us. Explain the Instagram grids like I'm 5.
Okay, so there is, do you want me to explain Instagram like you're 5 too? Or, well, 5-year-olds know what Instagram is.
I am familiar with Instagram. Can you please tell me what an Instagram grid is?
Okay. So the grid is this thing when people access your particular profile or page, they see this
Okay.
formats of squares. Right. And so what you do if you're interested in your Instagram profile to grow in followers and fans and whatnot, you want that combination of squares to look really, really good, to attract people, to show that you're professional and that you like beautiful things.
So do you ever do 2 posts that they have like same color? Is that the idea? Like they flow and there's just a now I'm
that's one
understanding
example.
what you're talking about. Okay, then give me another example, because that's the only one I can think of.
One is, for example, the one that really got to me was that there are, I don't remember what it's called, I think rainbow grid or something like that, where people do kind of like gradients. Wow. And the whole palette of the grid has gradients and nuances, and it's so complex.
That's gorgeous. Okay, now I'm getting it. Some of the folks on the Send It Rising team are beauty centric. I'm a speed guy. I'm like, do it now. Like for me personally, like when I'm driving, I have to calm down. Because I want to. Here's how I operate as an entrepreneur most of the time. If there are 2 cars and they're going the same speed down a two-way high lane, I absolutely lose my mind. I lose my mind. I will go in the left lane and I'm just like, oh, for the love, please move. Please. The left lane is for passing. Go. And so it's really useful and helpful as an entrepreneur in the early stages to be like that. It's not everything's going to be perfect. It's not going to be, but go, like, just do it, get it done, like make some sales, go, and now the team at Send It Rising, they're very much the no, slow it down. This must be perfect, detail oriented. No, that's a semicolon. No, this needs to be very. And so it works well in that regard. But I'm reminded of Michelle and Todd when you mentioned that Instagram gradient, because that is precisely the sort of thing that they would be like, well, if we did it like this. Yeah.
That's the exact combination that we have here. So, for example, Ksenia, who's the CEO of Planable, she's very detail oriented. She loves, having things perfect and thought through and planned well and everything. And I am I am the let's just launch it. And I'm the, we'll fix it as it goes. It doesn't matter. I'll put a note to myself and I'll fix that weird space in a week or two. And we always kind of manage to balance each other out, because we both know this about ourselves and we're very self-aware that sometimes it might be a bad idea. So sometimes we just sit and kind of debate with, which version is better for this particular project. Is it a let's just go project, or is it okay, we need to focus on this one project?
Yeah. So, well, I learned something new. I really do love this this idea of the Instagram grid. I mean, obviously it's a grid, like we all know that. That's not, but I understand it much better than I did before, and just the aesthetic of being an artist, I guess, is not lost on me. I'm more of a musician type. I'm not very much like a visual artist type. I'm very sort of pragmatic when it comes to like visual, but that's why I need to hire people that are like, stunning, look at us, gorgeous, like look at this,
that are also Italian, apparently.
This is also true. They also happen to be of Italian descent. Shout out to the Farinos in case you're watching. But it is funny to me how relationships and people, they remind me of planets with gravity. I feel like if we work on relationships, and as we literally pass by people in our lives, we get pulled into each other's gravitational pulls, and we complement each other, and we're like these little solar systems, and companies kind of behave in that way. I just don't think it's a coincidence. I could not be more happy with the team that's been established, at least with Send It Rising. So 2 more minutes. I'm going to give you one chance here to just pitch Planable. Why should people buy it? Who's your target audience? Just sell them.
Okay. Here we go. So Planable is a social media collaboration platform. What we do is that we kind of give this space for people that need to manage their social content. It's a space where you can literally just talk in context about each post in detail. If you are more of a, it has to be nice and perfect way, and you want to avoid the potential PR crisis on social. And yeah, it's what I can tell you is that it's extremely visual, it's real time, and it's, a startup, which means that we're pushing new releases and improvements weekly. So that's also and our customer success manager means client, support and relationships at a next level.
How much does it cost?
It starts free.
For
it's for a limited usage kind of trial. It's the first 50 posts are for free, and then the cheapest package is $39 per month.
Oh wow, that's super cheap. Can you schedule social media posts on it?
Yes, you can schedule them on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram.
I spend about $600 a month on something called eClincher.
Well, for just $5.99.
for the
You can have Planable.
for the low price. Okay. Well, I might email you because yeah, we're paying a decent little chunk of change, but we have a lot of weird, nuanced, unique needs. Where we'll talk to the programmer and be like, add this feature, do this, we need this thing, So it might be maybe, sort of, possibly something. I don't know. But anyway, shout out to Esther. Thanks, Esther, for asking all those questions. We're going to give you some extra time, Miruna. I know we're running out of time. It's 11, but Esther asked the question I want an answer. She wrote, when launching a new product, what is there a general formula or a marketing mix that you use? If that makes any sense.
Yeah. When we have a launch, the first and most important thing is what the launch is about. If it's a feature launch, then we just think about the channels that we can talk about it. What's the audience? Is it a feature that only users will be interested in? Because there are a lot of those features. Or is it something that the general population is interested in, and it's something that could acquire new users because it touches upon a new set of people? And so that's how we decide on the specific channels that we'll communicate to. We make that plan. We decide on a central message that is going to be put out on all the channels. And then we start to actually get to work. If it's a content launch, we do it differently because we think about the channels before we think about the actual content. Because mistakes in the past have taught us that thinking content first, it might seem like an amazing idea, but it has no potential in terms of promoting it and going wide with it. And it's just going to die in our own team. We've had those. It's sad. So yeah.
Hashtag sad. If people want to reach out to you, how can they do that?
They can LinkedIn me at any time. I keep my LinkedIn very clean and up to date.
Okay, so they would just search Miruna Dragomir,
Yes.
And that would be Miruna, last name Dragomir or Dragomir, if you want to say it in a more English way, which would be Dragomir, ladies and gentlemen. So if you want to reach out to Miruna. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the show for today. Shout out, of course, to Miruna for absolutely killing it. So talented, so smart. How does she do it? Esther writes, very impressive. So you got the Esther.
Thank you, Esther.
Killing it with Esther. She is, you have to pass the Esther bar. As everyone knows, if you know anyone looking for web development, SEO, pay-per-click, Facebook ads, Google ads, all that stuff, send it rising. You know you want to. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. We appreciate it, Miruna. Thank you very much. And we will see you all for the next episode. Farewell.
Bye.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, click. Bye.